Insurance companies decide fault within hours of your accident, but they're not looking at what you think they are. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how fault is determined in Georgia car accident cases and the specific evidence you need to protect yourself. Hi, welcome. I'm attorney David Bronze. I started my career working for the insurance companies, and that meant my job was figuring out how to pay accident victims as little as possible. Seeing how that system worked from the inside is exactly why I share these videos. I want you to know the same tricks, so you can protect yourself. If you need to talk to an attorney you can trust, we're always here. You can call us at 678-616-8588. Now let's get into it. When people think about proving fault in a car accident, they automatically assume the police report determines everything. But after working for insurance companies and now representing thousands of accident victims, I can tell you that fault determination is much more complex. Insurance companies conduct their own investigation that goes far beyond the police report, and they don't have to agree with the police report. They have adjusters, investigators, and sometimes even accident reconstructionists who analyze evidence the police may not have considered. The police report is important, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. There's one type of evidence in particular that can determine fault more powerfully than anything else, but it disappears quickly if you don't know how to preserve it immediately. I want you to picture this. You've been rear-ended at a red light, and the police report clearly says the other driver's at fault for following too closely. They even got the citation. Seems straightforward, right? But the insurance company then goes and interviews the other driver, who now claims you slammed on your brakes suddenly. Without witness statements or photos showing proper following distance, the insurance company might try to assign you partial fault. That's going to reduce your settlement significantly. Physical evidence from the accident scene carries much more weight than statements or police reports. Why? Because it can't be changed or forgotten. This physical evidence includes things like vehicle damage patterns, skid marks, debris fields, final vehicle positions, traffic control devices, and even the road conditions. Unfortunately, this evidence disappears when vehicles are moved, roads are cleaned, or the weather changes the scene. Here's what you must do immediately after any accident, if it's safe. First, I want you to photograph all vehicle damage from multiple angles. You also want to document any skid marks or debris. Take pictures of traffic signals and stop signs. You want to also photograph both vehicles' final positions on the road and capture all relevant road conditions like construction zones or weather effects. Also, get wide shots showing the overall accident scene. Do this before anything gets moved or cleaned up. Look, we all carry cell phones with cameras. There's no reason not to get this evidence when you're in a wreck. But there's something else that happens in the hours and even days after your accident that can undermine even the strongest physical evidence. Your own words and actions after the accident become the evidence in the at-fault determination, and insurance companies are experts at getting you to damage your own case. Let's say you're T-boned by someone who ran a red light. During your conversation with the adjuster, you mentioned that you were running late for work. That insurance company later argues that statement shows you were driving aggressively and should have been more aware of your surroundings. That little innocent comment about being late now becomes evidence of distracted or reckless driving. And what do? They start blaming you for fault and start taking percentage points off your case. Here's a pro tip. Whenever you are giving a statement to the insurance carrier about what happened, you want to be on high alert for questions that deal with time, distance, or perception. How fast were you going? How many seconds did you have between when you first saw the car and the impact? Where were you looking? Those types of questions are flags that you need to pay attention to because those questions are designed to find you partially at fault. That's where they are looking to say, okay, now we're going to shave 5%, 10% off the case and put that liability on you. What damages fault determinations in those critical first days? Apologizing at the scene or saying, I'm sorry. Admitting you didn't see the other vehicle coming. Discussing your speed or actions before impact. Speculating about what caused the accident or making statements about being distracted, rushed, or tired. Insurance companies train adjusters to ask questions that lead to these admissions. Be careful. Instead, limit your statements to basic, verifiable facts. State your location and the direction of travel. Describe the impact and the damages you observed. Report your injuries, if any, but avoid speculation about cause, fault, or contributing factors. If asked directly about fault, you want to say something like, I was following all traffic laws when the collision occurred. There's also a hidden investigation happening that most people don't know about, and it uses evidence they never thought could be used against them. Modern fault investigations extend far beyond the accident scene. They're going to go into your digital life, medical history, and personal activities. Imagine that you were injured in an accident and claim severe back pain that prevents your normal activities. 2 weeks later, you post a photo on social media of yourself at a family barbecue, smiling, looking active and happy. Insurance investigators find these photos and they're going to argue that you attend social events. If you attend social events, your injuries aren't severe and you're exaggerating to get more money. I literally had this happen last week in a case. It happens all the time. Insurance companies use various investigation tools depending on your claim size. There's things like social media monitoring for posts that contradict your injury claims, neighborhood interviews to gather information about your character and activities. And there is also surveillance in high-value cases to document your actual physical capabilities. They will almost always do a medical record review looking for pre-existing or prior conditions. And then there's also employment record analysis to verify lost wage claims. So you see, they're going to go digging through records, employment files, neighbors, social media. It's all out there and they're going to look at it. Here's what you must avoid after an accident. Avoid posting anything on social media about your accident or your activities or your recovery. Avoid discussing the accident details with neighbors, coworkers, or friends. Avoid signing broad medical authorizations that give them access to all your medical records. They don't need it. You control the records. Avoid providing informal statements to insurance companies without understanding the implications. If you're watching these videos, you understand what I'm talking about. Finally, set all your social media accounts to private immediately. Avoid posting until your case resolves and don't accept friend requests from strangers. That could be an adjuster trying to get to your private feed. But then there's evidence that can prove fault definitively, even in the most disputed cases, though it does require quick action to preserve. Just like the pictures we talked about earlier in the video, technical and electronic evidence often provides the clearest picture of how accidents actually happened, but this evidence has very short preservation windows. Here's a situation to think about. You're involved in an intersection collision where both drivers claim they had the green light. So he said, she said, classic. Without witnesses, it appears to be an unsolvable dispute, and the insurance carriers are going to say 50-50, we're not paying anything. But traffic cameras captured the accident scene. The other driver's cell phone records show active use during the collision, and your vehicle's event data recorder confirms you are braking appropriately. This technical evidence is going to change that, and now fault is definitive. The technical evidence we're talking about includes things like traffic light cameras, intersection surveillance systems, cell phone records showing calls or texts during driving, vehicle event data recorders, those capture speed and braking information. How about nearby business security cameras? They may have captured the accident. You also have GPS data from smartphones or navigation systems, and there's always professional accident reconstruction analysis. Each type of evidence has different preservation requirements and different procedures to access it. Here's how you want to preserve technical evidence. First, you want to request traffic camera footage immediately, as many systems delete recordings on short cycles. Ask your lawyer to send preservation notices, we call those spoliation letters, to relevant parties. Have your vehicle's computer data downloaded before repairs begin. Canvass nearby businesses for security footage quickly. You also want to document all electronic devices in the accident and understand that some evidence is going to require a court order or subpoena to obtain. Georgia's fault determination system is going to directly affect your compensation, so understanding how all this works is going to protect your financial recovery. Georgia uses what's called a comparative negligence system. It says that your compensation gets reduced by your percentage of fault, but if you're found significantly at fault, meaning 50% or more, you may get nothing. Even small fault percentages cost money, so fighting fault assignments is going to matter financially. Think about everything we've talked about. If an adjuster says you're 10% liable or 20% at fault, that's 10 or 20%, they're going to take off the claim value at the end of the case. So all of this matters. Different types of accidents have specific fault considerations. We call these fact patterns. Intersection accidents where traffic control timing and right-of-way rules are crucial. In rear-end collisions, following distance and sudden stops are analyzed. In lane change accidents, they're looking for signaling and blind spot awareness. Those both matter. In pedestrian and bicycle accidents, we're looking for visibility and traffic law compliance. Very key. Hit and run accidents, it all comes down to identifying that fleeing driver. That's critical. And multi-vehicle accidents, that's where fault can be distributed among several parties. That gets complicated and slow, by the way. No contact accidents are another one. That's where one vehicle causes another to crash without physical contact. These cases require proving that the non-contact vehicle's actions directly caused your accident, which can be challenging without witnesses or video evidence. Witness statements can be crucial, but their value depends on several factors. Independent witnesses are going to carry more weight than passengers. Immediate statements are more reliable than those given days later, and witnesses who clearly saw the critical moments are most valuable. Written statements, too, those are better than verbal recollections. What's the point? You want to get all witness contact information immediately and ask them to write brief descriptions of what they saw. When we open a file for clients, one of the first things we do is send out witness statements and get written or recorded statements. Traffic violations create strong presumptions about fault, but don't automatically determine it. Running red lights, speeding, or following too closely do suggest negligence, but other factors, like we talked about, can influence final fault determination. Conversely, not receiving a traffic citation, it doesn't guarantee that you won't be found at fault for insurance purposes in your claim. Weather and road conditions can also affect fault analysis because drivers must adjust for conditions. Those are the rules of the road. Ice, rain, construction zones, and poor visibility don't excuse accidents, but they may influence fault percentages. Sometimes government entities share responsibility for accidents. These can be caused by dangerous road conditions or inadequate maintenance. The job of your lawyer is to look for any responsible party and bring them into the case. Expert witnesses are also something we use. They become necessary in complex cases involving accident reconstruction, biomechanical analysis, or what we call human factors evaluation. These professionals can recreate accident sequences using physics and engineering principles, but they involve significant costs that must be weighed against your potential case value. Pre-existing conditions and prior accidents can complicate fault determination if the insurance company argues your current injuries aren't related to this accident. Complete honesty about your medical history while focusing the discussions on how this specific accident worsened your condition are critical. Prior injuries and prior wrecks are the two things insurance companies love to go after in every case. The investigation timeline matters too, because evidence preservation has deadlines. Witness memories fade, and some evidence disappears automatically. The sooner you involve legal representation, the more evidence can be preserved and the stronger fault your case becomes. If you've been in a car accident in Georgia and there's any question about fault, don't let the insurance companies build their case while you sit around and do nothing. Call us at 678-616-8588 for a free consultation. We know exactly what evidence to gather and how to prove fault using the exact same techniques I learned working for the insurance companies. And if you want to avoid mistakes that can destroy your settlement even when fault is clear, watch this next video. I'm going to reveal the 7 most common mistakes that cost accident victims thousands of dollars, including mistakes that happen months after the case is over.